Hey!
This is JJ and Alex.
I made a name for myself, I told you I won't be denied.
As you wrap up your day, it's time to get your fix of the teams you live for and the sports you love. This is JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
You know what that's the sound of? That's the vocal version of the eye roll that is inevitable for the rest of the season and watching how this college football playoff is gonna play out. Okay?
You're that down on it, huh?
It's not about being down on it, my guy. It's about being hurt in the past. This is like, if you want to turn this into your own college football, like, just treat JJ and I like we're your therapists, all right? Or maybe I'll treat you like you're my therapist, my sports therapist, all right?
Okay.
Isn't that a thing now?
Yeah, no, I can do
BYU's
that.
got that guy with the mustache on the sideline. He's like their sports science guy.
Our good friend Riley Jensen is really good at that.
That's what I'm saying. I think that this is important. So this show you're tuning into is cathartic, all right?
So I'm going to pretend to be a sports psychologist today?
Who
Is that
hurt?
what you're going to ask me?
Hey,
to do?
JJ, who hurt you?
Who
hurt you to make you feel this way about how the SEC?
The Kansas City Chiefs have hurt me as a Broncos fan.
I already know how this thing's going to play out.
That's not topical. So
We've basically...
specifically as it relates to in this market, the Chicago Bulls and Michael Jordan hurt me terribly.
Oh, yeah.
Magic Johnson and the Lakers in the 80s broke my heart.
Keep this going. I like this. Anybody else? Who's hurt your feelings, Annapolis, over the sports years? Who's somebody who just is like really crushed your
49ers
hopes?
broke my heart.
Just like sports abuse. That's what I'm talking about. Just like the sports abuse that you've had to endure.
What can you not let go?
Tom Brady in that 2019 Super Bowl where the Rams lost.
Oh, yeah.
That hurts. What was the score of that game, too?
It was 13-3.
It was bad. Oh, yeah.
I don't remember one thing about that Super Bowl.
McVay doesn't either. I
The
think
only reason I
it was,
remember is because I'm a Rams fan.
I think McVay didn't either. I think he was hungover.
It's one of the
right?
most
didn't he
forgettable Super Bowls of all time.
Didn't he? That was like a real wake up call for him. He's like, I needed to change my life. I was not like present for the Super Bowl. I was just enjoying the ride, and boy, they could have beaten that. Yeah, I get it. See, for me, I have a fresh one. It's the don't. I know what you're thinking.
Save that drop.
No, it's the Mariners and the continued abuse that I've received.
Pretty significant, yes.
And I'm wearing my Mariners hat today, and I haven't worn it in like a month because it's been that hard for me. Like it was so much. Like Cal Raleigh not getting the MVP is just as hurtful to me.
But getting to a Game 7 when you've never been to a World Series and having a lead late.
Oh, they were 6 outs away in case you were wondering. 5 outs away in case you were wondering.
If you're a Mammoth fan, you got a fresh one right now from last night.
Oh my! I have stuff to say, man. I have some stuff.
Like, you know, we are truly a hockey town now, because now we know what it feels like to have your heart broken.
I've come out.
Now you know what it's like to not like your team a little bit.
I love that.
I think people really get pissed off about how the way this team's playing right now.
Oh yeah, no, there's an effort
Like,
situation.
wait a minute. You won 7 straight games. What's going on right now?
Where are you? Why are you standing right there,
Like,
bro?
that loss last night was some BS, man. Like, what did you do in the last 20 seconds? That was pathetic.
They're probably watching
Overtime,
film.
too.
Oh my gosh, the same in the last 2 games have ended the exact same way, the exact same score, the exact same fashion.
You gave away 4 points in the last 4 days.
That's crazy.
I'm serious.
I know. I guess you could count it as 2 because they got 1 out of the overtime, but that's
in
not the
both
same.
games, but it's not the
same.
Fair enough.
But I mean,
that's even worse.
The difference is right now they could have 24 points, which in this freaking division,
every point matters.
And
you're leaving points on the ice right now.
Gosh, I'm getting sweaty already.
See?
It's not good.
So even Mammoth fans have some things going on right now that they're having to process. All the feel good stuff.
You know what?
Being taken over by reality.
You know what's crazy is, like, I'm like, ugh, put that hockey stuff on the back burner right now. It's making me too mad. We'll talk about it later. Let's talk about
Hey, the Jazz won. The Jazz beat the Bulls the other night in double overtime. Let's talk about the Jazz more.
Hey, look at us talking about the Jazz. Who'd have thunk it? Look at us talking about the Jazz, lifting our spirits with the freaking Jazz right now.
The Jazz are back.
That's where we are, lifting our spirits with a 5-8 basketball team. All right, let's jump into the program. JJ and Alex right here. Alex Annapolis, our
worried
producer.
the playoff. Sorry, you want to start the
No,
show.
I was just saying he's already.
I'm worried the playoff committee is going to be the next fresh one for BYU and Utah.
Listen, this is why I told you, like, the scenarios we just worked out in the last, 14 minutes before we walked in here, because we're going to go through and we're going to make our own. And I asked JJ, do we make our own college football playoff rankings based off of what we think should happen? Or are we going to try to guess to get into the minds of the weirdos at the college football playoff committee? I guess we can add Mark Harlan to the weirdos of the playoff committee now. Congrats. Welcome back to the group that is going to receive so much hate over the next little while because we're watching this thing happen, and I'm just telling you right now, over the next couple of weeks, it is not going to be set up for friends of the Big 12. Your BYU and Utah fans are going to be in a real hard spot because you're going to watch other teams that you could definitely make a case for not being in front of you, being in front of you. And that's going to happen week after week after week until you can just definitively say, if you're BYU, the answer's clear. You just have to get to the Big 12 championship game and win it. That's all you have to do. That's all you have to do. What's crazy is in that scenario, they might get 2 Big 12 teams into that point because I think the committee would probably go, yeah, Texas Tech is a pretty darn good team.
With 2 losses?
I think
with
that
2 losses?
It's a different 2-loss team. I don't know why, but
Texas
it is.
Tech with 2 losses versus an Alabama with 2 losses?
Oh.
See what I'm saying?
All right.
The committee would happily leave Texas Tech
Let's
out.
jump in and get it going officially here. We'll get going with the cut. Top of the program. Let's do it.
It's time for the biggest story of the day. This is what made the cut with JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Trajan Wealth brings you this portion of the program. TRAJANwealth.com, your trusted local need in retirement. TrajanWealth.com. All right, let's jump in here, JJ, because we've got to make our own rankings here. Unfortunately, we're going to be off of the air by the time the official show kicks off. They do it so weird. They do it so weird now. They just pop around based off of some games that are going on. So every week, the college football playoff, this week they're going to be 8:30 to roll this thing out. So let's get through our own rankings here. And we decided that we're going to go through it. Annapolis, if we need you as a tiebreaker. If there's a problem and JJ and I are fighting over it, we'll need your help on this. So I want you to think about where we're going to be at here with this ranking. And let's go over, I don't care about the top 25 itself. I want to go 15.
Yeah,
okay?
we're all playoff here.
Let's go 15. And I know 12 is it, but I think 15 is important because then you're getting to the next handful of people who are out, right?
Yes.
So let's look at some of these college football playoff rankings. Anything change at 1 and 2 for you?
No, they both took care of business. Nothing changes there.
Okay.
Both undefeated still. Solid on that. Obviously, you can't – last week I could have made a case for Texas A&M over Indiana after Indiana's close call to Penn State.
Yeah.
This week I cannot because it was Texas A&M who had the
close
moment.
Yeah, well, you know what's crazy about that is that they're in weird circles – they're getting a big and I told you, I said, look, that's pretty impressive to have that kind of a historic comeback.
Well, but not impressive is how you got in that situation in the first place.
Against
in
that
your
team.
own stadium.
Against that team.
South Carolina.
Right. So I get it. I get why people might sing it. So then we're going to have a conversation right now. Will the playoff committee ding Texas A&M for a bad half of football against a bad football team?
They will not because they're still undefeated.
Okay.
And there's a line between the 3 undefeateds and the 1 loss.
Okay. Texas A&M at 3 then. We both agree.
Correct.
All right. That leaves just for one team, I think, according to both you and I, Georgia at 4 then.
Yes. Yes, I think you have to go Georgia at 4.
I don't hate
A
it.
35-10 win over Texas. And I've said this many times, I think Texas Tech should be one of those top 4 teams. I think that'll play out if they continue to win.
Okay.
But right now it's tough to put Texas Tech ahead of Georgia yet.
I do think that Texas Tech should be the next team.
Correct. At number 5.
At number 5. And so you're comfortable with Ole Miss being behind Texas Tech, even though they're a 1-loss SEC team. Did I say that right?
Ole Miss.
You know what's funny about Ole Miss?
Let me look at their
Is
resume real
that
quick.
I actually see Ole Miss right now, and the Lane Kiffin situation, I think should play in a little bit to it. Like that. That's an interesting kind of like the committee is looking at this and they go, look, until further notice, like obviously Ole Miss, they have to keep winning. They're in the driver's seat for themselves to be able to get to the conference championship game against Georgia.
Yeah.
What do they have to play? The Egg Bowl?
Yep, they got a Mississippi State left.
They got
That's
the
it.
Egg.
That's all.
They got the Egg Bowl.
And that
count
should
it.
be a dub. Yeah.
And I don't know if it's in Starkville or not, but count it, right?
So
they're likely going to be in the SEC championship game. Well, no, I say likely because Texas A&M and Georgia are right there at 10-0 and 9-1. If Georgia loses one more,
or if Texas A&M gets beat by Texas.
Now hold on, because I'll put a pin in that. Put a pin in the conversation of Texas beating Texas A&M the final game of the year. All right. Ole Miss 6 then.
Their best win is Oklahoma.
Right.
Oregon's best win is Iowa.
And Oregon is a 9-1 team in the Big Ten.
So I'm going to put Ole Miss ahead of Oregon.
And there you go, because they've also been highly ranked all season long, and that also helps, right? I look at that and I see, okay, that's what we're looking at here. Ole Miss, I think, has earned its way to that number 6 spot. I think Oregon has earned its way to that number 7 spot. Now the question is going to be, what are you going to do with the handful of the 2-loss teams that stare at you in the face now? And I say the handful because there's 3 right now. There's still a 1-loss team that here locally BYU fans are very interested in. And the unfortunate deal is that Oklahoma, by virtue of their win that they had over Alabama this week, is likely going to be in the top 10. In fact, they will be launched ahead of Notre Dame, in my opinion. They'll be launched, obviously, ahead of Alabama because they have that head-to-head.
Oklahoma will make the move up.
To 8?
To 8.
I've got them at 8. Good.
Because they beat Alabama, who was previously 4.
Right.
They will make that jump to 8.
Okay. 9 and 10. 9 and 10 is going to be interesting. Do you think Alabama jumps Notre Dame or stays in front of Notre Dame?
No.
So you go Notre Dame 9, Alabama 10?
Correct.
Okay. I don't hate that. I'm on board with that.
Alabama would drop from 4 to 10.
I think that would be that could be an argument you could have though about Alabama being in front of Notre Dame still. I could see that being a 9 and 10
but
right
Notre
there.
Notre Dame just beat a ranked Pittsburgh team in their place 37-15.
Okay.
And I talked about this as a potential slip up for Notre Dame. They did not slip up at all. They were dominant in that game. The committee is going to recognize that, and Notre Dame is going to get that spot.
Okay. Next up are the 2 local teams here that I think we know. BYU at 9-1 is going to be probably 11th, and then I think Utah is going to be 12th.
Correct.
And that's just like a standard moving up. Now, here's the thing. Let's have this conversation. Well, no, let's get through the rest of the rankings here. Let me ask you this. Now you've got a handful of teams that you've got to figure some things out with, okay? Texas is now a 3-loss SEC team. The committee is going to figure out a way for them to get back, and I promise it's going to happen. Miami is still some sort of a weird darling for the committee. I think partly because they know that Notre Dame loss to Miami.
They beat Miami. Let's give them credit. They beat Miami. They beat Notre Dame.
Right.
And so that's something that's still going to give them some credibility with the committee, but they have 2 losses in the ACC, which is not great.
So here's the question, because last week in the college football playoff rankings, Vanderbilt was 14th. Do they move ahead to 13?
Correct.
Or does a team like a Miami, or even like, and I hate to say it, USC is going to get a lot of love this week, JJ.
They are.
USC is going to get the love because they beat Iowa, who last week was a ranked college football playoff team.
Yes.
My vote, can I push a vote? Can I make an argument here? The committee will put USC at 13. I think they'll put them at 13.
No, they won't.
Okay.
They won't put them ahead of an 8-2 SEC team.
We're splitting hairs on this. Okay,
I think
they will.
USC is going to make a jump. So I think BYU 11, Utah 12, Vanderbilt 13, USC will leap Miami
I think USC is going to leap Vanderbilt too. You're going to be our tiebreak here because I'm going to put my
And there's a scenario where USC beats Oregon and gets into the college football playoff.
This is why I'm saying they're going to be at 13. Okay? So, Napolis, give us a tiebreak here. I've got USC at 13. He's got Vanderbilt going, but that means they have to jump from 17.
That's a big jump.
It's a big jump.
It's not like you beat Oregon. You beat Iowa.
I know, but Iowa was I'm telling you, Vanderbilt doesn't really have a super.
Wasn't a good day for Iowa's punter, I guess.
Or one of their tight ends.
Yeah.
So JJ has Vanderbilt going up from 14 to 13. I have USC jumping all the way past them to 13. Give me your vote.
I think Vandy or Miami comes in at 13 before USC.
Okay, all right. I'll allow it. But are you okay with 14 for USC?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so 13 Vandy.
And then the committee, I think, has to decide between Miami or Michigan at 15.
What's wild is they're not going to.
Georgia Tech's going to take a knock for a close game at Boston College.
Isn't that stupid? What's really funny is that you've got Texas in the mix. Was it 10, and they lost to Georgia, and they're not going to get dinged nearly as much as you'd think. And so
Where does Texas land?
I think you have to slot Texas somewhere into
15,
that.
16?
15, 16, 17. I'm going to go.
Which would make them the highest ranked 3-loss team by a mile.
I think Miami will stay at 15. So I think you're going to see SC at 14, Vandy at 13, and I think you're going to go back. I think Miami's going to stay at 15. And then I think it might be Texas. No, I don't know if they'll put them ahead. A one-loss.
Can you put Texas ahead of Vanderbilt? Or Miami?
No, but I think you'll go.
They'll be tempted to.
They will be tempted to, but not yet. What you can't do if you're the committee is with a straight face have Georgia Tech behind Texas, right?
I don't think they can have Texas ahead of Michigan.
Okay. I don't hate that either.
And remember, Michigan got lucky too last weekend.
All right, so we went past 50. We flew past 15.
That's an 8-2 Big Ten team.
Okay, we flew past 15 because it's getting complicated. Yep. So I'm going to go. So Miami 15, we agree on.
Yes.
And then did we say Georgia Tech at 16?
I think Georgia Tech's going to get jumped by USC and Michigan. So
I know, but we have USC at 14.
Texas is going to be 16. Michigan will be 17.
And then Georgia Tech at
14.
And you've got Georgia Tech at 18?
They will drop 2
Okay.
spots.
I'm okay with that.
The ACC is not earning respect. And
I'm okay with
it. Georgia Tech almost losing to Boston College was going to drop them.
All right, now I want you to consider some teams that are behind this just to look. The teams that are not in the conversation yet at all, the top 15 or in the top, I guess 18, which we went to. UVA, Tennessee's sticking around, dude. Tennessee's a 3-loss. Like, it's cool to be a 3-loss SEC team now.
They were really impressive against New Mexico State.
It's cool to be a 3-loss SEC team now. It's fine. All right? So Tennessee's going to be 20th probably, but you've got teams like Missouri that are 7-3. You've got teams like Washington that are 7-3. You've got your Power 6 team or your G6 teams in James Madison, North Texas, and probably Tulane, who will be discussed. And you'll have to see where those guys end up.
Here's some bad news for BYU and Utah and the Big 12 is Cincinnati's going to drop.
Cincinnati will drop.
They lost Arizona. Is there another Big 12 team that gets in those rankings because the conference credibility is on the line there?
Yeah,
right now it's just the top 3.
Houston could find its way in on accident.
But BYU and Utah don't play Houston.
I know, but I'm just saying,
doesn't help them head to head.
Here's the real problem, and here's the thing that you should be absolutely mortified by, is that when Texas A&M loses to Texas, because they're going to get the script in the mail this week from the College Football Playoff Committee, right? See what I'm saying here? They're going to get the script in the mail. Texas A&M will read it and go, shoot, we got to lose to Texas in the last game. And they'll go, we'll take care of you. All right? So
Marcel Reed's got to sit out that weekend to get healthy for the
What are you
playoffs.
going to get? A Texas A&M team who's going to lose to Texas, a 3-loss Texas team that will suddenly get launched into the top 10. Okay? And what will that do? Make it even more difficult for a second Big 12 team to get in. So there it is. That was why I came into this thing grumpy as hell. All right?
Because the reality is setting in that eventually this is just going to end up being an SEC party and no one else is invited.
All right, we're going to take a break. And if you thought we were a little bit frustrated, hot under the collar about the College Football Playoff Committee and how this thing's going to roll out tonight, and we'll put our rankings up and kind of just we'll put it up against tomorrow what the actual ones end up being tonight. But we're going to come back, and frustration levels for sports fans here locally does not get helped because Cole Bagley comes in, not because of Cole, but because he's talking about the Utah Mammoth, and I've got questions. He says he's got some answers. They got done doing their podcast today, and I want to see. I'm going to dive into that thing and see where we stand with this Utah Mammoth team, who have suffered their second overtime loss in a row in basically carbon copy fashion that they did the other night to the Islanders. So we'll talk about that. Stay with us. 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
The exclusive home of the Utah Mammoth is on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Upstairs it goes. Sergachev, one-timer from Cooley, and he scores! Out of the slump and into the lead. Logan Cooley breaks a goalless drought and puts the Mammoth in front. It's 2-1, and the Ducks take it. Here they come up the ice. It's Killorn. Killorn lays it back. Seneca, back door, they score. Anaheim comes all the way back to win it in overtime.
You're locked into JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, everybody, welcome back. JJ and Alex, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. Alex, Kirry, Jeremiah Jensen. Cole Bagley, our Utah Mammoth insider for KSLSports.com. Nice enough to walk into the studio. You guys were recording the podcast. I would imagine that you guys had some frustrated voices on the podcast as well today, I guess is a good way to put it. But what can you tell us about what this team's going through right now? Teams go through wins and losses, and trying to figure some things out here and there is one thing. I think the thing that frustrated me about this second game in a row that was basically, like I said, the kind of carbon copy we saw against the Islanders. They were up 2-1. They give up a late goal, and then they go to overtime and lose it in the first couple of minutes of, the first 90 seconds of overtime or whatever it was. And it's frustrating to watch from a fan standpoint. My kids were beside themselves last night watching this thing. We've created monsters at my house with my 8 and 10-year-olds because now that's the thing that they like the most. And so, we'll scoot you, over to your left a little bit. We'll get you on camera here. That way, we have to blur out his mouth when the cuss words start coming out. But explain to us what's going on over the last couple of games and whether or not we should be worried about a deeper issue with this team going forward.
If there's like a mini panic button, I think you can hit it right now. I don't know about like the big red one, but things are not going well over the last 10 games.
No.
I mean, they've only won 3. They're 3-5-2 over the last 10. And, like you pointed out, it's kind of the manner in which they lost these last 2 games that I think, if you're going to look, there are a lot of, like, obvious things going on. Like, the goaltending hasn't been very good. The offensive production has been very poor, which I think you can point more towards. It feels like this team is just trying to try a whole bunch of different things out. In terms of their lines, they've swapped lines 1 through 3 a whole bunch of times lately. But I think the biggest thing is just consistent effort. If you've watched them even over the last couple of games, and even in the win against Buffalo, they are not putting together 45 to 50 minutes of consistent hockey. Because at the end of the day, they all talk about playing consistently for 60 minutes. That's not going to happen. It just doesn't happen. It's the best league in the world. The other team at some point is going to play better than you for a good amount of time, a good stretch. But if this team could just play 45 to 50 minutes of consistent hockey, I think they would be winning more games. Because right now it feels like it was the same last year at times. It feels like there's one period where they just let things go and the game gets away from them. And to me, when you're in year 5 of a rebuild and you've got Cooley in his 3rd full season, he just signed a contract for, worth $10 million AAV. Gunther's in his 2nd full season. He's a little bit older. He has a little bit more experience on the back end.
You start off 8-2.
Yeah, you start off 8-2. You win 7 in a row. To me, this is just an unacceptable stretch, and I really do think it comes down to effort. And you saw that last night when they're up with 10 seconds to go. They can't get a clearance. They have Ian Cole step when there's already 2 forwards in that spot. There's 2 Ducks in the crease, and they score the goal to tie it. And then in the overtime, the only player that played that rush right was Sergachev. He played it right. Gunther did not play it right. He didn't step to the shooter or to the outlet pass. Vamelka came way too far out of his net, and then Keller didn't back check. So to me, it's simply effort right now. I think is the biggest thing that you can point to and go, that's why they're not winning.
That is inexcusable.
It is inexcusable.
Because that's the one thing that these guys can control. But you talk about the mini panic button. What is the solution for this team right now? Is this do they need to get together and talk about this? Or like you're looking at this and you're thinking, this is not going the right direction. What needs to happen to change it or to flip things in the right direction? Is this a leadership issue? What needs to happen for this team to get back to playing the level of hockey that they were playing earlier? Now, we don't expect them to win every game, but 6 points in 9 games, we know this team's better. Who steps up and gets this team to rally and to change the effort and change some of these things and fix some of these things?
I don't see enough frustration out there. I want to see more broken sticks.
Yeah.
I want to see guys getting fired up and yelling at each other because it's too happy-go-lucky right now. It's too like, oh, well, we played good enough, but to put ourselves in a chance to win, but we didn't.
You're right, and that's why I think that last night was so infuriating. I was watching the effort at the end of the game. I wanted to throw my remote because I know they're better than that.
Right.
It was garbage.
Right.
It was bad hockey.
I want to see more frustration. I want to see them busting their sticks over the goalposts and along the boards and getting upset. Like, it just feels like, again, the effort's not there, but it doesn't feel like they're angry enough to correct it. Let
me ask you before we get you out here, because I know you're short time, I want to know what because then you get on social media and fans are insane people anyway. We go way too far. But there were a lot of people saying there needs to be a coaching change, and I thought, man, we get real wild because a week and a half ago or 2 weeks ago,
year.
Yeah, right. And so how legitimate are those types of concerns for people who look at that and go, Bear isn't doing a good enough job as a coach either?
That's a really good question. I think all the way around there's issues. I think there's coaching issues in terms of I don't know that the right guys are playing together. One of the things that we outlined in the podcast was they made some significant changes about 6 games ago. They are 1-5 since they made those changes. You've won 1 game and it was against Buffalo. So it's not really like a good team to measure and be like, oh yeah, we figured things out. No, you didn't. You played one of the bottom feeders in the NHL and you had to score 4 unanswered in the 3rd period. Yeah. So I think that's an issue. Power play is obviously an issue. I think they're at 15%.
That's brutal.
That's when you look at the coaching staff and go, guys, what's happening here? Yeah. How can you not get your team there's superstars on that power play unit? There's Sergachev, there's Keller, and then you have young stars like Cooley and Gunther and Peterka. 15% is unacceptable. And so I think that's where there's some coaching issues, but I kind of go back to the effort of it just feels like when this team decides to really play, they can play good. Obviously, and you're seeing that across every game right now, and I think Buffalo is the perfect example because Buffalo scored early and Utah kind of had their tail between their legs. It was like, oh well, we lost this one.
Jeez. And
they didn't play, but then DeSimone scores, and suddenly it's like, oh, okay, we're in it. And then they get the game tying, and then they just go off, and it was like they're playing with their food a little bit.
Yeah.
And so that's where the frustration comes from. Is this team is capable? This is not a bad team. I don't think this is a Stanley Cup team by any measure, but this is a playoff team, and they're not playing like that right now.
It's wild. Well, push people to the podcast. Where can they go listen? I know you guys fired that up. When's the next episode going to be up? Because I know you guys just finished it over here. I watched speaking of downtrodden faces, when I walked past that studio, I was like, ooh.
Mostly just Michael. I've been in sports journalism long enough that I'm numb to all these things.
You know how the sausage is made.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
especially I covered the Utes for a couple of years.
Okay, there you go. Well, this is a new shiny toy for us, and so we're getting way too invested in it too.
Before you plug, I want to stress that because it has been all shiny. Yeah. No matter what has happened with this franchise, I think this shows the growth in both the franchise and the fan base that people are pissed.
Yeah.
Fans are like, this is garbage.
Yep. Right.
We've arrived. Now you can get mad at your hockey team. It's okay. You can get mad at these guys. You can get mad at the performance because forever it was just like everyone in the world, we're so glad to have hockey here.
Right.
No, not anymore. It's not good enough. You got to go out and play hard every night for us.
There was a quote from Michael Kessering this last week he said why he missed Utah is because he could do anything and he could do no wrong.
Right.
that you don't take that as a compliment. Like now you need to reel it in. You need to be realistic.
And I think that's the maturity of this town as a hockey town. Is like we're starting to okay, what we watched last night was BS.
It is.
That's garbage.
Yeah.
We're not going to accept that. We're gonna put you on blast on the radio. Fans are going to put you on blast on social media if you come out and perform like that again. The honeymoon's over, I guess, basically.
If you went to a Canadian market,
oh man,
good night.
Yeah.
Last night, they would have burned the arena down.
Right.
Now, don't do that.
I was going to say Vancouver will.
Don't burn your bar.
Well, not just because they want a new arena,
Right.
Insurance policy.
Cole Bagley. You can, of course, read him at KSLSports.com.
Sorry, I cut him off. You didn't get to plug the podcast.
Yeah.
Where
I got you.
it?
Utah Hockey Podcast. They just got done.
On all KSL's channels, YouTube,
all the platforms.
Spotify,
You got it.
all
Let's
the
go.
platforms.
Sweet.
And so you can dive in and listen to how mad Michael actually is. If there's a tear shed during the podcast, you'll get why. But
and you can watch it too.
That's
on
right.
YouTube.
There you go.
Utah Hockey Podcast. Go dip in on any of the channels we have here. Cole, thanks for hanging out, man. We
Thanks,
appreciate
guys.
it. My goodness. Hey, I got some tickets to give away. Let's give away some tickets.
Are they to a Mammoth game?
No, they're not. No, they're not. Here we go. It's a Jazz Ticket Tuesday.
Want to go watch them blow a late lead?
It's a Jazz Ticket Tuesday. Let's do it.
It's Jazz Ticket Tuesday, and your chance to win tickets is right now.
Call this number now.
Call this number now.
Be caller number 12 at 801-575-ZONE. 801-575-ZONE. And you'll be on your way to Delta Center to see the Utah Jazz.
He fires the three. He hits. Oh, don't do me like that.
This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jazz Ticket Tuesday, call number 12 right now, 801-575-ZONE. You get a pair of tickets to see the Utah Jazz and the Oklahoma City Thunder coming up on the 21st at the Delta Center. Hey, check it out. Tickets right now. Jazz Ticket Tuesday. We're doing it every hour here. 801-575-ZONE. That's 801-575-ZONE. 801-575-9663. Pair of tickets to see the Jazz and the world champion Thunder coming to town on November 21st. We'll take a break. We'll come back. We've got more. We got a Would You Rather right around the corner and much more. Stay right here with us, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Listen, everybody.
Real life hypotheticals to get your brain churning. As JJ and Alex ask, would you rather?
All right, everybody, welcome back. JJ and Alex, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Alex, Kirry, Jeremiah, Jensen. Let me ask you this, JJ. I got two Would You Rathers for you guys. Before we get into it, though, I do have to remind you. Hey, did we give those tickets away, by the way? We got more next hour, right? Yeah, man. Just Ticket Tuesday just keeps on giving. Hans and Scotty, by the way, tomorrow are going to be at Tim Daly Nissan, Southtown. 11155 South Jordan Gateway in South Jordan. Or Jordan Gateway in South Jordan. Tim Daly, the home of the Forever Warranty. It's your Cougar preview show every Wednesday. Okay, I got two Would You Rathers. I was just thinking about this, and I thought, you know what? Because we gave away the Jazz tickets. Legitimately, you have a choice to sit courtside or rinkside at the Mammoth or at the Jazz this week. Which one are you taking?
Who are the Jazz playing?
Who are they playing?
The opponent matters.
Thunder. We gave away tickets to the Thunder. So let's say the Thunder game.
The world champion Thunder. It's Jazz. Easy. The Rangers are in town Saturday, but the Rangers are not the Rangers. You know what I mean? Like, it's not the best New York Rangers team ever. I'm going Jazz actually right now.
I would just say from like a local standpoint of like our teams over here at Delta Center, like there is some real. It's dicey right now, but I love it. This is what this is part of our baptism into the world of hockey, right? Where it's like, what do you have to do along the way if you want to get serious about it? Got to get pissed at your team. Got to have some people calling for the coach to get fired on social media.
They have to let you down at some point. You have to emotionally react.
There's no team that lives through. Look, the honeymoon is over, right?
It's like that poor Jets fan that was interviewed. The boy who said, "I was born into this. I hate
this
him.
team." Yeah, we're not there yet.
That's years and years and years of being beaten down.
Yeah.
I mean, this is only year 2.
Well, generations for their family. Yeah.
I mean, this community's there with the Jazz.
Honestly, I think that people should. You know what we should do? You should get a mulligan. Like, you should get a life mulligan on changing fandom. Because the thing is like, no, don't give me that look.
But why why would somebody here want to change? Why would you not want to be a Jets fan?
To be a Jets fan?
No, a Jazz fan.
Oh, I thought you said Jets fan.
Jets, that's different.
It's not about that. No. I'm saying, but here's the thing that happens. It's weird. You do get born into it. Why are you a Rams fan, Annapolis? Who
My
hurt
dad's
you?
from East LA.
There you go.
See, again, family connection. All right. So then you go, and why am I a stupid Seahawks fan? Because while we were living in Dallas and the Cowboys were winning Super Bowls, my dad's all, we're Seattle Seahawks fans. And I was like, go AFC West. I bought in. I was like, Steve Largent's pretty fun to watch. Hey, we got Rick Meyer.
Well, your dad had the foresight to realize that once Jerry Jones took full control of the Cowboys, he would run it into the ground.
Well, funny thing about that,
He's
my dad
actually
was
saved
he
you
was
from
like,
years and years of pain as a Cowboys fan.
right. But see,
The Seahawks have had more success recently than the Cowboys.
but there's also the part where you're just like, think about that poor kid. Again, he lives in New York, but what about the people who live here in Utah and they're just like NFL fans of the weirdest teams ever? Because we don't have a team, right? Like, put me in that camp. We have a cajillion Broncos fans in this building.
I grew up in Wyoming. They were on every afternoon.
Listen, you don't have to justify it. I get it. It's fine.
Broncos country, let's ride.
Yeah.
I'm not riding with that guy.
Subway sandwiches. Let's ride.
I want off that ride.
That guy got in bed with the Subway sandwiches and the Broncos, and everyone was like, I hate this whole combination of things. Like, come on. But I'm telling you, there's a part of you that goes, hey, man, I wasn't really able to choose. You know? I'm not saying that I hated it, but when you do have to be loyal to a team that you were born into, it's pretty. Look, we do. I know people
Look
that.
at no one's more loyal than Lloyd in there.
Oh, but see, he wishes he had that mulligan.
The Raiders haven't done anything in 23 years.
If it was socially acceptable to have the mulligan, he would take it.
No, he wouldn't.
Yes, he freaking
Would
would.
he?
We all would. If you had the ability to bail out on a team and it was socially acceptable.
I wouldn't give up. I wouldn't give up on my teams.
Okay. All right. Anyway, I was just saying there's just no freaking way. Like, it's so hard to watch. It's so hard to watch. Okay. Here's my question. What would be a better environment for a college football playoff hosting place? LaVell Edwards Stadium or Rice-Eccles Stadium?
What time of day?
I'm assuming that they're going to put them on prime time. So let's think like they're both nighttime situations.
So
they both bring out the drones and the fireworks.
Here's my take. Like, the spectacle that BYU puts on is unmatched. Like, the fourth quarter thing is insane.
Which is funny because I actually saw a Utah fan get on there. They posted a video of them. They're like, this is like so stupid. It's so overstimulating. There's nothing. Look at what's going on here. And they're the guys with the fireworks coming out of the tops of the Cougar flags.
It's incredible.
The fire dancers. This week they had the Native American. They had the First Nations folks dancing with the full gear on, and they had and Cosmos in there doing flips and all this stuff. He's up at the top of the stadium. They have the fireworks going off. They got the drones going up, and these like, this is so stupid. This has nothing to do with football. And I was like,
yeah,
what?
It doesn't. You bring in a lot of casuals. You have to do that to fill 65,000 seat stadium.
Okay.
So that's what, and I'm not taking anything away from BYU fans, but the intensity and the hostility of the crowd at Utah is unmatched in the Big 12. Why do you think it's so hard to win in Utah at night? Because that place is rocking from start to finish, and it's intense, and it's a smaller venue. It's more intimate. There's something special about that place at night that makes it so difficult to play in.
I kind of agree with you because I think that I think Utah can affect a game outcome as a stadium and a crowd.
No question about it.
More than BYU does currently.
But BYU, the show they put on it's a spectacle.
No, it's entertainment.
And every time they have a game on ESPN, you get to see it on TV. But when you actually experience it in person,
but you're right. From a And LaVell Edwards Stadium gets loud. It's the loudest it's been.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I'm not.
In the history
that's not what I'm saying.
In the history of covering this team, this is as loud as it's ever been.
The loudness factor, BYU compared to Utah gets an edge simply because it's a smaller stadium and it's just more intensified.
Yeah.
BYU's plenty loud. The Rock's amazing. The fans are great. If you're just going to compare the two experiences, those are the things that stand out to me. But both would be. I mean, bring it on, man. Bring Notre Dame or Ole Miss to Utah. So let's see how that goes. All these people say that you have no chance to get the SEC. You have no chance.
That's one thing that if you do have like a BYU team sneaking into the college football playoff and they host like a 3-loss SEC team, like you might actually get them.
you know what imagine I mean? Like, Alabama having to come to Provo in December to play?
Yeah, screw those guys.
Absolutely.
Make them show up.
Make them suffer, man.
Come on.
They'd have no idea. No idea. So that would be incredible.
What's great about this is this conversation we're having right now, we're not that far off of having this scenario play out.
It will eventually. I have that much faith in both BYU and Utah's programs that eventually they're going to host a college football playoff game with that kind of scenario, and it's going to blow our minds.
Okay, this is also my weekly reminder for people to understand how freaking cool it would have been for these two teams to be playing the last week of the season. They would have big noon kickoff and game day in the same parking lot. Like, that would be unbelievable. Because right now you would have a 1-loss BYU team and a 1-loss Utah team right next to each other in the freaking college football
playoff spot, probably, most likely.
On the line. And instead they're going to go Ohio State and Michigan. I get it. But at the same time, but also, like, you know, the thing that happens with a game like that and not having it at the end of the year. I mean, but this is what we were hoping for. But honestly, it's happening earlier than we thought it was going to, right? Like,
yeah, I didn't expect
is it sustainable? Is it the kind of thing where they could be this good for every year? Kind of going
I think
forward?
there are bullies emerging in the Big 12, and it's Texas Tech, BYU, and Utah, and I think everyone else is just pretending.
I wonder if sustainability on like teams like Kansas State. Kansas never really turned that corner and got there, did they?
I don't know. Yeah, how does Cincinnati maintain? Is Arizona really primed to break through? Arizona State might lose Sam Leavitt.
Might lose Kenny Dillingham.
Right.
If we're being honest.
So that could all fall apart real quick, and we've seen Arizona State be mid for a long time, right? Yeah. Underachieving program.
Okay.
So, yeah, I think there's 3 teams emerging as the bullies in the Big 10, in the Big 12, and that's what you have to have compared to the Big 10 and the SEC. It's Texas Tech, BYU, and Utah, and everyone else is just pretending.
Utes Insider for KSLSports.com. Our own Steve Bartle going to join us next on the program. We'll take that break. We'll come back. We have more tickets to give away for a Jazz Ticket Tuesday next hour. Don't want to miss any of that. Plus those reports, that are popping up about the possibility of Sam Leavitt maybe leaving Arizona State? Question mark? Who knows? College football is a wild space, man, for players and coaches. We'll get back to that and much more. Stay right here, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Nobody gets you ready for Utah football more than the KSL Sports Zone.
Ready.
Kyle Whittingham and the Utes return home for a battle against Kansas State. Your home for the best coverage of Utah football is right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. You're locked on to JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
What are you doing over there, JJ?
Slapping the bass.
Is there a more recognizable bass player than
Nope.
Flea in the history of rock and roll?
No one has slapped the bass like Flea.
Yeah.
You can tell the second you hear.
Oh yeah, yeah. They turn his Marshall amplifier up in the performances, right?
Some bands try to hide the bass, not the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
No.
You can't hide that kind of bass.
Anthony Kiedis and Flea and their roles as tweakers in Point Break.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Unbelievable.
Those guys, because they didn't have to act.
I think they just showed up
They
on
almost
set.
won an Academy Award.
I think they just showed up on set that way. They're like, now your character, we wanted to give you some face tat. You've got him. All right.
Took care of that already.
All right. Now, could we have you lose some weight for the role? Oh. You're skin and bones already, Anthony.
Oh,
Kiedis.
you've had a diet of meth for the last 6 months. Okay, well, you're ready for this role. Taking this way serious, guys.
Oh, my goodness. That's a great movie, by the way.
Yeah, it is.
I think that's one of the things that I have like these debates in my head where I'm like, when do I show my like 17-year-old some of these movies that like I loved and
I
at the
want to
same
rewatch
time
that one.
It is.
I bet that's really fun.
I need to rewatch it to tell myself, oh yeah, you could probably watch this. You know what I mean? Like, because I don't know, something about and The Town did this, or The Departed. Which one was it? No, it was The Town. When those guys who were wearing like the president's masks, and are robbing stuff, it's actually scarier that way, right? When those guys are wearing the nun outfits, and it's The Town, isn't it? Yeah. When like that Boston cop pulls up. Yes. When that Boston cop pulls up and basically sees them robbing the bank, and they all have Uzis, and he goes, I'm going to look the other way. And he turns and looks the other way. Everyone's like, best business decision ever. I mean, but those are scary masks, and they shouldn't be. Anyway, all right. Joining us on the program right now.
The power of a Nixon mask. Of course.
Of course, yes. But again, the dead president's robbing banks is pretty dope.
There are monsters on the world.
Here's the deal. We've got to get to the cut.
We got to get to the cut.
We got to get officially into the program.
We're going to get lost in the weeds here.
Let's get it going here. Top of the program, the cut. Firing it up right here with our guy, Steve Bartle. He's our Ute insider for KSLSports.com. Let's get to it.
Covering the Utes better than anyone else. This is Ute insider Steve Bartle of KSLSports.com on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Doug Smith brings you this portion of the program. An incredible selection of Kia, Subaru, Chevy, Jeep, Dodge, or Ram, and Mitsubishi now in the family of Doug Smith dealers. Nobody knows cars like Doug. Nobody knows the Utes like our own Steve Bartle, Ute insider for KSLSports.com. What's going on, Steve?
What's up, fellas? How we doing?
Yeah, we're good, man.
Great.
We just got through our own version of what the college football playoff rankings are going to look like as of tonight. I think the entire world has Utah and BYU being that 11 and 12 spot. Do you have it any differently? Do you see BYU maybe being put ahead of either Oklahoma, Notre Dame, or Alabama, any of those two lost teams?
No, I think they land where everybody's predicting them to land at 11 and 12. I think obviously with the big win for both BYU and Utah this weekend. That certainly helps, but I don't know that it's enough to move ahead of those programs that have been ahead of Utah and BYU, for the last week or so. So, obviously Texas losing that helps. The Oklahoma win, I think a lot of us had that one pegged as Alabama winning that one, and I think that was sort of what we were, looking for and anticipating. Last weekend is potentially, those two teams, Texas and Oklahoma, the two former Big 12 programs, taking losses late in the season to potentially help the former conference that they once called home. And obviously Oklahoma went into Tuscaloosa, got a big win, and Texas took a beating in Athens. But what's interesting is you look at those schedules still for the teams ahead of BYU and Utah, and there's still a chance that things get a little chaotic with these next 2 weeks. But in terms of what happened, this past weekend, I think moving up a spot for both BYU and Utah, I think that's sort of what we're all anticipating and what we see tonight.
As for Utah, it looks like their odds are around 12.9% to make the Big 12 championship game. We know it's going to be difficult. Have you taken a deep dive into what has to play out in order for Utah to land in that game and get a rematch against Texas Tech or a rematch against BYU?
Yeah, it's actually, it's really simple, and there's a lot of different scenarios that can play out. But essentially, BYU losing to Cincinnati this week would be would put Utah in a pretty favorable position. You would then also need Cincinnati to take care of business the next week. And you would also need Houston and I believe Arizona State to maintain their 2-loss record as well. So you need to end up in at least a 14 tie for Utah to end up with the tiebreaker scenario in their favor. Obviously, if things go super chaotic and BYU and Cincinnati both lose the next two games, obviously that helps Utah's case a lot. But that's not what we're anticipating in any sort of way. So I think the simplest route for Utah, Cincinnati winning this weekend, Utah continuing to take care of business on their own end, and that puts Utah in a pretty favorable position. So there are a lot of different scenarios that we can run through, and there are tools out there that people can utilize to figure them out. But that is essentially what needs to happen is BYU losing this week to help Utah's case the most. It's essential. It has to happen.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard to watch this kind of thing go on because we know how much love that these SEC teams will end up getting, and the train wreck that we're anticipating is Texas A&M losing to Texas in that final game of the season for both Texas and Texas A&M of the regular season, and that would put a one-loss Texas Tech or a Texas A&M team, down a little bit, but they would still stay a playoff team. And then is there a version where these 3-loss SEC teams do find their way in over a 2-loss Utah or over a 2-loss BYU team?
I mean, we've learned never say never with the playoff committee, but it would set a pretty wild precedent. And, maybe that's what the playoff committee is gonna be about now that they have an SEC AD in the chair. There's certainly a concern there, but I think when you look at Texas' resume, obviously adding that sort of win with Texas A&M would do a lot for the resume, but their losses have been, losing to Florida. That's not a great look, and I think 3 losses. When you have these other programs like BYU and Utah that have done enough to take care of business as best they can and have 1 loss and have 2 losses, I think you need to reward that. And I think that should be the priority. But again, you just never know. So, there's a lot to play out, and even with Oklahoma, right? They still have Missouri this weekend. They have LSU the final week. There's room for chaos there. There's Notre Dame, they've got Syracuse and Stanford, and with Andrew Luck and Frank Wright, do they surprise? That's going to be a late night kick, a super late night for Notre Dame, even with a 10:30 p.m. Eastern kickoff time. So there's room for chaos with Texas. That win will help them, but it would be surprising, but also not at the same time that the committee would elect to put them in. I don't see it.
Well, looking at Utah, all they can do is to continue to win and win in dominant fashion, which they've done ever since that BYU loss. And offensively, I really found it interesting, Steve, watching Jason Beck manage this injury to Devin Dampier, because if you just did things straight and without creativity, that could be a big concern for Utah. But they've been able to negate that situation by getting a lot of playmakers involved. As you're watching what Jason Beck has done with managing the limitations that Devin Dampier has, what stands out to you about it, and why has it been so successful?
What stood out to me the most is his ability to manage these 2 quarterbacks, Devin Dampier and Bird Ficklin, and getting Bird on the field to supplement, Devin's usage, particularly in the run game, has not necessarily meant that Dev has left the field either. And I think that's been a really unique dynamic and element that I think both have embraced. With them both on the field, they both talked about what it's meant to be on the field together and how they would celebrate, if and when they got into the end zone. So it's been interesting. I think Beck deserves a lot of credit for creating this sort of camaraderie between Dampier and Ficklin, because we know the nature of that position. There's one spot, and that's how we've always talked about it, right? The old adage is if you have 2 quarterbacks, you have none. And I think Beck has done a really great job of creating confidence in both quarterbacks, and that says a lot. And so, we shouldn't take for granted the fact that these 2 quarterbacks are not just performing, but performing at a really high level like that. Just because, Utah's found success on the ground, like these quarterbacks deserve a lot of credit for that and embracing the opportunity to play together. So I think that above all else is what has stood out to me, the last few weeks, is managing these 2 quarterbacks and getting the most out of it. But, to your point, you can go back to last year and, you look at some of the passing game numbers. I think Utah finished with just over 100 against Baylor. And obviously when you have success running the ball like they did at 380 yards, it's going to take away some of the opportunities to move the ball through the air. But again, throwing for 100 yards on Saturday. You go back to Cincinnati, not the most explosive passing game. Similar story against Colorado with Bird Ficklin getting the start in that game. And so teams know that Utah is going to run the ball. They know that. They prepare for it. There's nothing really new in that sense, but Beck has found a way to, keep defenses off balance with all that they're doing, with the guys that they're having take snaps in wildcat situations, with some of the motions and all of that sort of stuff has really created a difficult run game to defend. And when you have an offensive line that is blocking in the way that it is and really performing at a high level, having a defense off balance is what allows this offensive line to thrive when you compare it to what it was like last year, where there was no passing game. Everybody knew that Utah wanted to run the ball, but just couldn't. The offensive line couldn't generate push because the offense was just predictable. It was inside zone to the left, inside zone to the right, and that's basically all that it was. Where Beck has allowed the offensive line to shine is through his creativity and attacking different parts of the field, which I think has been really, really impressive. So those two things, managing the quarterbacks and then, the diversity and the creativity in the run game to allow that offensive line to shine.
So I was looking at the numbers here for Utah and the running game. They're averaging over 280 yards on the ground per game, which puts them here. So here's the top four. The top four in the country goes Army at 4 at 260 a game, Air Force at 3 at 272 a game, and then the Utes are number 2 in the country behind. So they've split they're actually better than 2 of the 3 military academies on this. But I think more importantly, Steve, the reality is that this team is 170 yards better per game. In the rush game. They're at number 2 in the country in a rushing offense. And at this point last year, they were in the bottom third. And that's just an insane jump from one year to the next. Is this going to be an identity that because we've heard Kyle Whittingham talking about how Bird Ficklin's going to be the future at quarterback, for this team. So do you anticipate that this is going to be the style of offense that goes forward, an extremely mobile quarterback and less emphasis on that passing game?
Yeah, obviously I think with the success that they've had, it's fit the identity and brand of football that Kyle Whittingham has wanted. Now, obviously there's a conversation to be had about, when Morgan Scalley takes over, what sort of offense is he going to look for? I know that he understands the importance of a passing game, and because I know that he feels that it impacts recruiting as well. So, there's certainly room for more production in the passing game. I don't think Utah wants to be as lenient towards the run, but when you're this productive, why not, right? Like that's going to be the thing. So I do think there's always going to be that desire to be balanced, and Utah is going to play to their strengths, and that's going to be the overriding factor above all else. But I do think this is the offense. I think this is an offense that works well for Utah, given their, where they've been able to build their program through the trenches, both offensively and defensively. It plays into sort of their strengths as a program. And, with who they've recruited, they've got Bird Ficklin obviously in the program. They've got another quarterback committed to them in Michael Johnson. That's another dual threat quarterback, and they continue to recruit those types of quarterbacks for the future, which again leads you to believe that is going to be the identity. So, I think this is sort of the brand of football that fits well for Utah, given what they have in the program and how they want to build it. But I just think that there's always going to be that desire to be balanced and to play to their strengths. And, and they've done a tremendous job of recruiting to the trenches. They have, 5-star offensive tackle commit in Kelvin Obot, who some services have as a top 25, top 10, top 5 player. And when you bring in that kind of lineman, it really does a lot to help your run game to be as effective as it is. So, I think it all fits well with what they want to do. And it's worked well this season and has really put the program in a great situation compared to where the program was this time a year ago.
Kansas State comes into town this weekend, a program that has been disappointing, to be quite honest, this year. I think a lot of people thought they'd be in the mix. A top 25 team. Avery Johnson has not met expectations either, but he is a dual-threat quarterback, and QB run has been a problem for this Utah defense. How concerning is that for Utah, and how important is it for the Utes defense this week to prove that they can contain one of the best running quarterbacks in the country?
Yeah, I think, Avery Johnson, he's a tremendous talent. He has been and always, has that sort of talent. I've liked him and felt that he had another level or two that he could get to this season, but he just hasn't. He's continued to kind of perform at the level he has. And I figured with experience he would take a step forward, and he's done well to improve some of his numbers. He's got a 17-5 touchdown to interception ratio, which is a big improvement from last year where he was 25-10. And, you see the improvements there. They've added receivers to that passing game that have helped Avery as a quarterback as well. But I think the book on him continues to be just some of his decision-making and the level at which he processes things just sort of takes dips unexpectedly and in certain situations, right? You go back to the Kansas State-Baylor game. Kansas State all but, they had that game, late in the game. They were up, I believe, a couple scores, and all of a sudden Baylor makes a comeback. Avery Johnson throws a pick six, and that's sort of been, his biggest issue is costly mistakes in difficult situations. So I think Utah can certainly give Avery Johnson some trouble with the way that they're able to generate pressure with what we've seen from the secondary. And obviously when you look at just the raw numbers and what they gave up against Baylor, you can be concerned, but the bigger story there for Utah is the takeaways with 2 interceptions. And I think those plays, that can be the trade-off sometimes is, you may give up a lot of yardage, but if you can get takeaways, that can do a lot to help your chances at improving. And obviously the context around that game is that Baylor was on the field for a lot. And I think Sawyer Robertson is I think he is arguably the best, the most gifted passer in the league. I think he's able to make throws that other quarterbacks just can't make in this league. And you're not going to face that with Avery Johnson. Now, with the dual threat ability, that's going to present some challenges. And I think, this defense, Utah defense specifically, has done a good job of being more aggressive and limiting success over the last couple of weeks. Brendan Sorsby, after he scored that touchdown early in that game, was really balled up, and Utah did a good job once they made some adjustments to limit his effectiveness on the ground. Same with Caden Salter. Salter going into that game against with Colorado, he was a dual threat guy, and Utah did a lot to limit him by just blitzing him nonstop. So, it'll be interesting to see what sort of game plan Scally puts together now that K-State is going to be prepared for a lot of Utah's aggressiveness and blitz packages. Scally's going to have to come up with some different things to give him different looks and keep him off balance. And that's going to be, above all else, the biggest key to limiting Avery Johnson's success against Utah on Saturday afternoon.
Saturday afternoon, Utes taking on the Kansas State Wildcats. Steve, of course, right there with you along the way to get you all the updates, anything Utah-related. Steve Bartle, our Utah insider for KSLSports.com, is going to get you covered. Steve, we appreciate it, man. We'll talk to you later in the week.
All right, sounds good, fellas.
Thanks, Steve. Steve Bartle, everybody. Let me tell you how it goes with Kansas State real quick before we go to break. They hang for about a quarter and a half. That's about as much as they've got in the tank. Because I think that's about where, and I think he's right. They might get some moments there. Against Texas Tech, he ran Avery Johnson had a couple of rushing touchdowns that looked dynamic, as good as anybody, right?
Yeah, I thought there was a little bit of an upset alert going on there early in that game.
It was 12-7, I think, at the half. Yeah. It wasn't like, but that's about as good of an effort as you're going to get all year long from them. Like, that's about as good as they've done.
Yeah,
and it's kind of unfortunate because Avery Johnson, you talk about Sam Leavitt jumping in the transfer portal. Like, does Avery Johnson have a year left of eligibility?
Oh, he's a sophomore.
He's a sophomore. Okay,
Yeah.
2 years left.
Yeah.
Give that guy some money.
He's a Kansas kid. Like
I
he's
know.
homegrown.
Don't care because if you're not doing it and you have the talent and the rest of your team around you is kind of not there, like he could hit he's got 1 year left.
Oh, does he?
He could hit the transfer portal and he could be.
I thought he was a sophomore this year.
He could be a money guy.
Sorry, he's a junior.
He
My
could
bad.
be a money guy. He's been young. I mean, he's been on the scene and he's been playing. It seems like forever.
He's from Wichita.
Okay. Like, show me the money.
But who's paying him? I can argue that the reason why Kansas State's underachieving is because of his bad decision making.
He will. There's some coach who's in love with the athleticism, and it would be an immediate upgrade for their crappy quarterback room, guaranteed. And they would go because what's like a decent going rate for a quarterback? Like $2 million is not insane, and I bet he's not getting that at Kansas State right now.
Probably not.
So, give him $3 million. Hey, you know who's going to have a quarterback opening at the end of the year? Arizona State. And they're paying Leavitt $2 to $3 million a year, reportedly, allegedly. What do we say?
Crazy.
So it's crazy. So if he finds a different landing spot, come on now. All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back. We've got more around the corner. We've got some tickets to give away for our Jazz Ticket Tuesday. You don't want to miss that, and much more. Stay right here with us. 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
It's another battle for the Aggies, and the KSL Sports Zone has it covered. The Aggies head to California for a chance to get bowl eligible against Fresno State. Your home for all the play-by-play coverage of Aggie football is right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. You're locked on to JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
I don't have good hygiene.
I don't look the part. I'm not svelte. Just some old Bennett Brower, Chris Farley references there.
The things we talk about during the break.
We just mostly it's this. We usually just like reminisce on. It's perfect. We had some Brass Monkey come on. It was about the same time frame, right?
Oh, yeah.
Early 90s. Give me some early 90s Chris Farley. Well, the network executives and their Q ratings. Well, maybe I don't use deodorant. I scare small children. Yeah, Bennett Brower, one of the best. Would Chris Farley be as exciting if he hadn't passed away when he did?
Oh, yeah, I think so. I mean, for some people, I think his act would have grown. Are some people sick of Adam Sandler at this point? Probably.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
But how
but he's
successful has he
carried on.
been?
Oh, yeah. Imagine all the roles that Farley would have played just in the Sandler movies.
Oh, my
that have
gosh.
come out over the years, right?
And his best roles sometimes were the cameos.
Oh, yeah, the
Like in
bus
Billy
driver and
Madison?
Billy Madison.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me
In
see
Wayne's
here.
World, the roadie.
The roadie. Like, that is a perfect vibe
Just
for him.
great.
Too.
I mean, just little 5 minutes here and there, Chris Farley could brighten your day. Yeah, rest in peace.
I remember exactly where I was. I was in our football training room when I found out about his passing. And, like, I remember, like, our trainer and I, like, that's where we went back and forth with, like, all the Farley quotes
Just all the lines,
the time.
all the stuff he
Yeah,
did.
man. And we were devastated, dude.
Yeah.
It was crazy. All right. Let me see here. Isn't that funny? You, like, remember where you are on that kind of stuff?
He's
but
been gone for almost 30 years.
I know. I barely
insane.
remember my wedding day.
But you can recite all the skits on Saturday Night Live.
Most guy thing ever.
Yeah, it is. Our brains, man.
We're terrible people. All right. JJ, I got some tickets to give away. It's a Jazz Ticket Tuesday, so let's go right on ahead. Fire it up. Let's do it.
It's Jazz Ticket Tuesday, and your chance to win tickets is right now.
Call this number now.
Call this number now.
Be caller number 12 at 801-575-ZONE. 801-575-ZONE. And you'll be on your way to Delta Center to see the Utah Jazz.
He fires the three. Hey, hands up! Don't do me like that.
This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Call right now, 801-575-ZONE. That's 801-575-ZONE, 801-575-9663. Your Jazz Ticket Tuesdays are going to get you this week a pair of tickets to the Jazz taking on the Oklahoma City Thunder on November 21st. So here we go. We're just a few days away from it. Get you some time to get those tickets scored and Take a loved one with you and go watch the Utah Jazz. Nice little fiery, lively startup versus the world champs in the Oklahoma City Thunder. That sounds so weird to say. The struggling Jazz versus the world champion Oklahoma City Thunder.
What world do we live in? I
know.
never thought I'd see it.
I know. It's crazy. So there you go.
Hey, if the Thunder can do it, the Jazz can do it someday.
Absolutely. Why not? Hey, so the reports are that Sam Leavitt might be thinking about a possible transfer. Now, there's a guy who's been banged up quite a bit this year. It seems strange for a guy who he grew up in Arizona, right?
Have you followed his story, though? It's not that strange.
Oh, I guess Oregon is kind of the
He's from Oregon.
yeah, Oregon, I guess, is where they're quote-unquote from. But, yeah, I don't think – what's crazy to me is the idea that Kenny Dillingham is being flirted with. People like the guy. They like what he does. Big programs who are going to pay more money than Arizona State can pay are going to be offering him a gig at the end of the year.
If I was one of these big openings, I would be
beating his door down.
He might be my first call.
He's in his late 30s. He's as fired up as a person you could get. He has culture immediately that he installs.
The job he did last year is one of the best I've seen.
But he's an ASU guy.
Right.
And all he's talked about, like this would be a bigger diss on your own fan base than when Jed Fish was like, I'm going to be here a long time, you guys, and then was suddenly coaching in Washington 5 seconds later as he
Yeah, but Jed Fish had no ties to Arizona. This is different. This is a Sun Devil.
I know. He's been activating the Valley. Activate the Valley.
But loyalty's a funny thing because if they lose Sam Leavitt and Jordan Tyson moves on, and all of a sudden you're looking at this roster and they suddenly become the team we thought they were going to be last year, right? I think the margin is thin for Arizona State. And then what if Dillingham has a couple of bad years? Does everybody down there still love him?
Okay, let me.
So sometimes you jump while the saying goes, the iron is hot.
Okay,
hasn't always worked out for everybody.
Brian Kelly's salary at LSU. Any guesses? Don't look it up.
I'm not looking that. I'm looking up something else that I think is actually more of an apples to apples comparison. But go ahead.
So Brian Kelly. So an LSU salary. What's your guess, Napolis, on how much Brian Kelly was making down there at LSU
per year?
Yes. No. Yeah. Tell me what he was making per year. That's what it means.
10?
10.1. You were right freaking on.
Wow.
Okay. Guess what Kenny Dillingham is making at Arizona State after all of the incentives and everything per year?
Not close to that.
8.
Oh, maybe he is close to that.
I was shocked.
$8 million at Arizona State?
Yes.
A year?
But see, here's where we've gotten. Because to pay a coach now, you have to exceed what the other guy was getting. The buyouts are hilarious now because now the buyouts actually don't, I feel like they don't even exist. You saw that what James Franklin's doing?
Yeah.
He's taking a $40 million cut on that buyout.
So he can go coach at Virginia Tech.
And I get it.
If you take another job, you got to give some of that back.
Well, they basically reduce it because of that, right? And so I think it's crazy to think that you would want to go to a place. LSU's not done itself any favors. I don't think Florida does itself any favors. Any of these big programs are going to be paying you. Let's say he does make 30% more. What is $10 million versus $8 million? You know what I mean?
That's not enough for me to jump.
No. But that's what I'm saying is there will be a jump once you start to get to that 12 and 13 number, I think, which is where guys like Kirby Smart are. And again, that's a guy who's won national championships at Alabama or at Georgia. But the new number, it just keeps going up based off of the desperation level of the team who's willing to set that. And it's also a little bit of a flex that these other big programs have where they go, we're going to dig up $13 million a year for you, and you've never even coached at this level. That's how confident we are and how excited we are about you coming here and what we're going to have to do to earn you getting there. Lane Kiffin, I don't know what Lane Kiffin is making at Ole Miss, but I bet we're talking about somewhere around that. Okay, so $9 million for 2025. Potential bonuses put him in the $11 million category. Okay, and by the way, he's going to get those bonuses.
Yeah, $2.6 million potential bonuses.
He's going to get those bonuses. A lot of them, right?
He'll be
because
an 8-figure coach this year.
They're already. I mean, it's crazy. So they are We're talking about a guy who would be walking away from a program that is already winning in the SEC, in the portion of the country where you could make a name for yourself. And now you could throw that away to go to Florida. You could throw that away to go to LSU for what? A guy like Lane Kiffin's going to take $15 million for him to go.
Right.
Watch. That's going to be the number.
You'll have to break the bank to get him. But they'll do it.
Because
they're desperate to win.
It is so ridiculous.
Now, an apples-to-apples comparison to Dillingham, and I think this is a cautionary tale. Jonathan Smith, remember what he was doing at Oregon State?
Oh, my gosh, that poor guy. I say that poor guy. He's not poor at all anymore ever.
No, that's quite the opposite. Now, Jonathan Smith was a Beaver, man.
Yeah,
he was a quarterback at Oregon State. He was an assistant coach at Oregon State.
Exactly right.
He became the head coach, and a lot of people, when they hired him, thought, is that the best you could do? And he turned that program around, and by the time, right before he left, Oregon State was a force to be reckoned with in the Pac-12. But we all know what happened. The Pac-12 collapses. Oregon State gets left behind. He bails. He goes to Michigan State. Takes $7.25 million per year. How many Big 12 wins does Michigan State have this year?
0.
Who's going to get fired this year?
You think Jonathan Smith will get fired?
How do they not? They're 0-7 in Big 12 play.
The problem is they're coming off.
They have not done anything under him.
The problem is they're also coming off of like a Mel Tucker scandal again, and
So
and
they're
that
just
whole
gonna
thing.
sit
So
up-
they go,
they're-
no.
Yeah.
They vacated all the Mel Tucker wins.
Yeah.
And they're gonna have to. So what they need right now is they probably just need a guy that's like a little bit stable for a minute. Places
But
like
your
Michigan,
fans want him out.
of course.
He's not a Michigan State guy.
Nope.
He's not the traditional hire you get. He's not the big name.
He looks awkward, right, in that
He
Spartan
doesn't
green on
belong
the sidelines.
there. He belongs in Corvallis. That's my point.
That could be a reboot.
Jonathan Smith in Corvallis makes a lot of sense. Look at these other reboots we've seen lately. Just in the Big 12 alone. Doesn't Rich Rod belong at West Virginia? Doesn't that make sense? Win or lose? Right?
Does
Scott Frost at
does he belong
UCF
at
makes a lot of sense, right?
Well,
Because
compared to
it's
where
been-
they were.
But sometimes these guys go in these places and they jump when it's hot just because the money's there. But they're not a good fit. Brian Kelly at LSU, we all thought, that's weird. That doesn't make any sense. And it didn't. And it ended up being a disaster. These guys become successful in certain places because it's the right fit and because they have a history and they have an emotional attachment to that place and have an emotional investment in that place being successful. Jonathan Smith in Oregon State. Kenny Dillingham at Arizona State. Kalani Sitake at BYU. Kalani at Florida. Does that make any sense? And do you think that would work?
No. All right.
Exactly. That's not a negative on Kalani. It's just you need to go where it makes the most sense. You need to stay put where you fit. And too many coaches are chasing the dollar.
So Lane Kiffin, if he were to leave this year, would have to cut a check to Ole Miss for $4 million.
Yeah.
Next year it would be 3. The year after 2. Right? These buyouts that the coaches have in the reverse order, they negotiate with their new team. Hey, pay my buyout, pay me $15 million a year, and then they get to that point. That's the kind of stuff that they do. It's crazy. So you're actually not paying him $15 million a year. You're paying him the 15.5 that you're going to end up having to bake into a 4-year deal.
Right.
Or you're paying him 16 a year because you have to buy him out too. That's what they're requiring. Pay my buyout. All right. We'll take a break. I've got a top 10 here for you next. It's food related, which are my favorite, by the way. You can tell when I'm hungry. Days that I'm hungry when these lists come out. All right. Stay with us. 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
Complete game coverage of the Cougars is right here on the KSL Sports Zone. It's a huge Big 12 battle for the Cougars as they head to Cincinnati for a showdown against the Bearcats. Your home for the best coverage of Cougar football is right here on 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. You're locked on to JJ and Alex on 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
I love this. You know why? That's what I'm going to do. Close my eyes and slip away right here.
We're just getting ready for Tim LaComb coming up.
I was
going to
say this would have been a perfect
breaking out some classic rock.
Yeah, man.
I know he's listening right now. He'll be ready.
Tim
This will get him
LaComb
fired up for a
Tim
second.
LaComb's going to hang out with us for our Jazz Daily segment coming up here. It's an interesting time to be a Jazz fan because You're torn. What do you do? Stop winning, you awesome basketball team, you. Well, we'll see how it goes. We'll talk to Tim coming up here at the top of the hour. Nominate that U Sports volunteer for the Hercules Hero of the Week award. All you have to do is submit that nomination, KSLSports.com/contest, and listen every Thursday to JJ and Alex for a winner. Help us celebrate the impact of the Hercules Hero of the Week. Sponsored by Hercules First Federal Credit Union and Beehive Meals. Quick top 10 right here I have in front of me. This is, I was given this idea by us talking about Kenny J's and an alternative to the norm for Thanksgiving.
Which is totally fine.
And they do the smoked turkey, which is an underrated item that they do.
It's their smoked turkey is great.
Phenomenal. But they're also doing briskets. So they're doing the briskets and the turkeys, right? And so I thought, you know what? I'm going to find a list. And I did. Crazy. I found a list. The top 10 alternatives as voted by Americans of what for turkey in place of turkey on Thanksgiving. Okay? Apples, you ready? Hit the 60 seconds on your mark. Both of you are participating, right?
Yeah.
On your mark. Get set. Go.
Ham.
Ding.
Chicken. Steak.
Well, hold on. What kind of chicken?
Grilled chicken?
Okay, well,
Roasted chicken?
I'll accept chicken. Ding, roasted chicken. Ding.
Fried chicken.
No, not on the list. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Duck.
You said steak. You said duck.
Yeah, I did.
Ding.
We got no turkey. What
Turkey.
other bird? Brisket.
Brisket not on the list.
Ribs.
Yeah, not. Wait, what kind of rib?
Beef ribs.
Prime rib. How about that?
Prime rib.
I'll give you prime rib.
That's a good one. Yes,
it's a
prime rib.
Ding.
A roast.
It's in the same category.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Something vegetarian.
What are we
Shame
talking
on
here? I know, but what are we talking here? That's number 10 on the list.
Oh man, what's a vegetarian? An eggplant or something? I don't know. You're asking me to identify a vegetarian
an eggplant
dish?
or something? They call it an aubergine over in England. No, but it's not on the list.
No idea. We did pretty well, didn't we?
I think you did all right.
What did we
I would
miss?
have
Hot
eaten all the
dogs?
things. You would have
Hamburgers?
said. I would also eat
Pizza?
those things. I'm going to be honest.
Taco Bell?
Turkey's not my favorite. You know, I will say
What did I miss?
that if you were to go full on, and just like
Chimichangas?
and do some like
Burritos?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. You could get some tacos in there. It'd be pretty phenomenal. Okay, number 10, mushroom steak. Mushroom steak is a thing. Number 9 is stuffed winter squash.
Get out of here with that crap.
Okay, now we're getting into the good stuff.
Okay, good.
Beef Wellington, number 8.
Oh,
Nice.
that's underrated.
Well, it's expensive is what it is.
It's hard to make.
A pork loin.
You know what?
Leg of lamb.
I've done that.
I know. Leg of lamb.
Okay, yeah.
Goose.
Oh, I forgot
No.
goose.
Duck is also on the list. Prime rib at number 3. Glazed ham is number 2, and then roasted chicken is the number 1 alternative.
What'd you
I think the brisket could be on this list very well. Very easily.
Oh, agree.
Could be on the list.
Any barbecue item would be great.
All right. Take a break. Tim LaComb is going to join us next right here. Stay with us, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
What time is it? Your exclusive home of Utah Jazz basketball is right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Markkanen sets a pick. Collier Veers was right. 4 seconds. Hands to Key. 3. Good! Keontae George with 0.8 seconds left. Keontae George with a kill shot.
But I think the biggest testament to Larry is like he was empowering me the whole time down the stretch. Like he passed me the ball back. He like the 3 I had on Vucevic. Like he threw the ball back. It was like, go at him. I'm like, all right. Like if I had 40, I'll tell you to swing me the ball. But like just to get that moment and for Zay to obviously trust me to make the shot. And obviously I'll go back home and watch the video. But I mean, it was just great to hear our crowd scream and yell and get back in the winning column, honestly.
You're locked into JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Oh, this feels right coming back to talking to Tim LaComb. It's a little bit of classic rock jam, dude. He is Tim LaComb, pre-half and post-game. You hear him with Jake Scott every day on the Jazz broadcasts. And he, of course, dipping in with us today. Joining us on the program, he is Tim LaComb. Tim, what's going on, man?
What's going on, man? It's been a minute.
I know. We miss talking to you all the time. But listen, I get to dip in on the way out of the studio when you guys kick things off on Jazz coverage, and I'm having watched a few of the games in person and then listening to quite a bit of them as well, this seems like a lot of fun that we shouldn't necessarily be having right now, and it's a great spot to be in.
It really is. But, with it comes always angst. We can't just enjoy, and which I think has been the theme of your show today, right? I heard the early parts.
There was some grumpiness going on. Yeah, look, we have all sorts of reasons to be cynical, but the Jazz might not necessarily be one of them right now.
Yeah, I mean, really, I think we're seeing some pretty great things. I think the story of the year up until last week has been pretty much a runaway, and that's kind of the ascension of Keontae George. Yeah. And the way that he's approaching the game. And, it's so awesome because I think it really speaks to human nature. Like we're not immediately great at everything, around our job. It's things that you've got to kind of work your way into. And I think his time spent in the off season really leaning into what it is that's going to keep him in this league for a long, long time. He had to make some adjustments, and I just, I sit and watch it every night. I see his effort. I see, how focused and locked in he is. And it really is, to me, such a cool story. And then Lowry, of course, last week did what he did, which was just phenomenal. And that game against the Bulls on Sunday might have been the most exciting, fun, kind of crazy game that we've had in a while, so I think things are great in Jazzland. There's more stuff, but I'll let you guys talk a little bit too.
Well, let's dig into Keontae a little bit deeper. You nailed it there. I think Keontae George is the story of the year for the Jazz so far because we knew Lowry was an all-star. We know what Lowry is. We didn't know what Keontae is, and what we're seeing right now is a player that could exceed our expectations. Remember, this is a guy that was taken in the middle of the first round. This is a late lottery pick. This is not a guy that was supposed to be a superstar player, but I mean, he's playing like one right now. Specifically, what is he doing at the point guard position that's different than what he was doing the first two seasons?
Well, I just think from where I sit, I think it's a real attention to detail. I think it's a focus on all the things that that a point guard's supposed to kind of be locked into. And I think it's hard to be young and thrown into a position. I think it was well populated. He was not, he had never really played the point. So with anything you're learning, there's going to be growing pains. My wife can attest because my guitar playing was not very good early. And, thus a lot of loud, clunky noises. Sometimes loud, clunky noises on the basketball court are turnovers, and know-how's a lot in this game. So having a mindset and understanding of what needs to happen out there, when you can have that translate from coach to player and have it what seems like so seamless this year, I think that's a great thing.
Tim, one of the things, JJ was talking about the Lowry thing and about how, a couple of years ago we had an all-star here in Salt Lake, and then last year it wasn't just the injury stuff. I also just didn't feel like there was a lot of clicking the moments that he did come back with the team. He had a lot of great moments where he'd be in that 30-plus point range a couple of times. But what is different about Lowry this year? Because it feels like he's even hit a different level.
Well, I think he's a rhythm player, and I think he's a guy that really benefits from playing a lot. Timing's a big part of his game, and so I think kind of hit and miss last year, for him playing and some of the injuries he dealt with, the time he spent out, I think it hurt him, and I don't think it hurt him long term, but I just think in the moment he was just not quite as sharp as he typically is because he relies on that. But I think that this year it's pretty evident that this team's built, quite differently. Last year, it's pretty well documented, was hard. I think you had a bunch of veteran guys who you had value in and you wanted to try to do right by and make that, if there were to be a transaction on the back end, that more valuable. But at the same time, you want to bring your young guys along. And sometimes your group just is not basketball congruent. And I felt like, this year when I saw the veterans that they went out and signed, I kind of made the comment that when you look at George Niang, Kevin Love, and Kyle Anderson, you look at guys that are great for a locker room, but they're also great to help young guys develop. They're approachable. They're veteran enough that they've been through the wars. They can speak to it. But they're also not going to be clamoring to be in the rotation unless they deserve to be. And so I just think this year, all that being said, the ball freely moves around. I love what Will's done with the offense. Lowry is a threat, but everybody's a threat. The cutting, the movement, the assists. I think it's been really fun to watch.
Ace Bagley is another player that we're focused on quite a bit, and I think we're all going to be understanding and patient with his development and understand that he's not going to have it all figured out year one, and there's a lot of ups and downs that come with that, but some of the ups we've seen are pretty spectacular. What are your thoughts on what you've seen so far from Ace?
Yeah, I think you hit it on the head, and again, it goes back to my initial thought, and that is that the only way through is through. And I think if we all kind of look at our own lives, every day is not created equal, and some days there's more resistance even in just your day. And then you've got the whole context of trying to go out and play. You really rely on your teammates. You hope the other team doesn't have this crazy night. So there's just way more that goes into it. And I think that, for me, it's, I think you take Ace into consideration. There is zero doubt in my mind this dude's an all-star. This guy will be an all-star. Wow. He really makes scoring 20 look easy. But again, the other night he was hindered by foul trouble, which is what? A know-how skill. And, you get an official and he's calling the game tight. You feel like he's, maybe picking on you. You've got to kind of remove yourself from any kind of suspicion. And it's just some things you learn as you go. And the only way to learn them is to actually do it. And I was looking at an article today. At one point, people were really down on the 2021 draft class. And, it's 4 years removed now, almost 5 years removed. But you go back and look through those names, and they're big-time contributors on teams across the league. And so I do think with younger players coming with less experience, there's going to be a more of a steep curve on the front. But then when they find their footing, they're going to be really good players.
Well, let's talk a little bit more about some of these other guys. When you see a guy like Ace Bagley, we've seen a couple flashes here and there, a couple 20-point games, and the rawness of like a little bit of the lack of defense, and then just like some of the things where other pros sniff out the guy who doesn't have those things that are just the little things, the turnovers and stuff like that. And you can rattle a rookie, I think, like Ace Bagley a little bit early in their career. And I think that's the difference now, that Ace Bagley can look at Keontae George and say, man, that guy has grown up a ton over the past few years. Do you think that Keontae's gotten to that point too now where you go, some of that maturing has been the stuff of cleaning things up in his game that people ridiculed before?
Without a doubt. And I think the summer, again, a story that was told across the market, but, Keontae invited a bunch of guys to go to Texas with him and work out and spend time together. And, again, that's probably not in his comfort zone. He's more of a quiet guy, but I think the fact that he did it and these relationships were forged, these authentic, meaningful relationships, that can only help your performance on the court. So there's zero doubt in my mind, as Keontae's locker's next to Kevin Love and he's getting counsel, I'm sure there are a lot of conversations late at night or, early in the morning at a diner or something where those guys find a place to eat and they talk about, Ace is asking questions because he's inquisitive. I do know that. Mm-hmm. The kid's a sponge and he definitely wants to learn it. Problem is you can't fast track that. There's a period, and I think it's why Coach Hardy says that development is not linear. There's a ton of factors at play.
The Jazz are so good right now that a lot of fans that are have their eye on the draft next year are panicking a little bit and worried about conveying that pick. And one of the reasons why they're panicking is because we watch A.J. DeBonsa right here in Utah do amazing things at BYU. You've had a chance to see him play some games for the Cougars now. What are your early thoughts on A.J. DeBonsa? What stands out to you about his game?
Well, I think first and foremost, the kid can score at every level. And it's like Hurdley said over the weekend, he's not sure that level of shot making, really can be found in anywhere else like that in the NCAA. So I think that's a great compliment, and there's zero doubt the kid can really score. What I've really been impressed with, though, is how he's kind of had to bow his neck in situations when it hasn't been going his way. And, we mentioned Keontae's name, and, the first year coming off the bench and doing all that, it's so hard because these guys they're proud. They've been the best player in their area forever. And, you learn that you got to give a little bit back. And I see that with Ace. I see the other night his competitiveness in the second half, the way he stayed composed against a team that was really built that night and hell-bent on stopping him. I think you got to really look at that hard, and so those are the things that impressed me. I obviously loved watching his tape and everything coming into this year. I wondered, and when it gets tough, how will he respond? And I think early in the year, against that team at UConn, the response was pretty loud, and it definitely got my attention.
In a weird way, Tim, like we get so caught up at following these teams, and it's hard not to do the game-by-game basis. I would think it'd be especially for you guys, although you and Jake do a good job of kind of being a little bit more 30,000-foot view, because it would be hard to cover the games
for 82
every night to be up and down with them. We're kind of, watching this happen with the hockey club a little bit, or with the hockey team, because people are like, man, oh, they stunk tonight. I suddenly hate them. What's like the big picture version of this team that fans can dip in, because now at 5-8, people are kind of like, what's going on with these guys? And they're winning more games than maybe you thought, which is a weird thing to complain about, because at the same time, we like watching the wins, and where that kind of marries with whatever the rest of the plan looks like, where does that land? And how do you guys kind of approach it on a nightly basis when you talk about it?
It's a great question. The first thing I'll say is, I think Austin Ames was pretty clear in his press conference.
We're just going to win
this year.
Come on.
Right. And we're going to compete, and we're going to, try to win regardless of, whatever Jazzman Larry at twitter.com or anybody else.
I follow that guy.
So yeah. So I would simply say, that stuff's great, and we all love it and hate it at the same time. But, the message was given. There is a transparency, amongst, I've worked with and around this organization now for 6 years. And if you listen, they're going to tell you what they're doing. And, he said it, and even the question, what about the draft pick? What's going to happen with that? Well, we'll deal with that as it happens. And I think what has happened in a short period of time is, I think it's always been a question, can Lowry be a number one guy? That's the thing I've been asked over the last 3 years. And he just had a 4-game stretch where he scored 138 points in 4 games and looked a lot like a number one guy to me, and you look at he's averaging 30 points a game. So
top
quietly,
5, yeah. Top 5 in the league.
Yeah. Quietly, though, what's happening, again, the recipe has been Oklahoma City, right? And what happened? They got a trade, and Shea developed into what he is now. Quietly, Lowry's really, really good. And the crazy part is I thought he was good. He's gotten better. Because if you look at his rebounding, his assists, he's really functioning well within the team unit. And I think part of that is the way they're playing. Not as many ball screens, way more motion and movement and active cutters. So I guess that's happened. Then at the same time, we talked about early, Keontae's, ascension into what he's doing right now with the right head on his shoulders. And again, a guy who's putting up great numbers night in and night out. Add to the mix, unfortunately, Walker Kessler, who's proven he can anchor a defense, at a high level. And all of a sudden, everybody's like, we don't have – what do we – look around. And then I haven't even mentioned Isaiah Collier, who has been a game changer for this particular team this year. because he just comes in the game and it's infectious. He races the ball up the floor and he makes the right basketball play, and somehow, some way, everybody else does too. And he has a remarkable effect on this team. So while everybody's kind of focused on the pick and the record, I'm seeing some pretty good flowers budding because I've been sitting here day after day watching it for the last 6 years.
Well, the story tonight is probably going to be about the Lakers because it looks like LeBron James is going to make his season debut, season number 23, Tim. That is insane. Before we cut you loose, your thoughts on LeBron lasting this long at this level? It's just insane that he's still able to do this.
It really is. And, I think his stamina, but, it's just, again, another guy who never got satisfied and just continued to work. The knock on him early is, well, he can't shoot three. And, he's not necessarily a marksman now, but it's a threat, and you've got to be there. And that's all you ask in basketball. If he's got to be there, you can use that big body to get by him if they're too close. So I marvel like everybody else. I think the time where I've always kind of, because you compare him to your era, right? And I still believe, MJ's the best player of all time. Okay, that's just, and my dad thought Oscar Robertson was. So I think those will just be generational arguments. But what stood out to me is that last Olympics, the way he played with fire. And, there was zero doubt that he was the leader of that team. I happen to have a great relationship with Mark Few, and he was on a staff on that team. And when he got home, we had an opportunity to talk. And he just told me how emotionally strong, how, that dude is just a leader of leaders. He couldn't say enough good about him. So I think with all it being said, been around a long time, but he's really been able to stay and raise the level. And, while his teams have the last few years haven't been great, I think he's definitely somebody in his history that will be talked about for his, his endurance and stamina, and as long as he was able to play a game at a high level.
Well, it's a late one tonight because it's in Los Angeles, as we mentioned with the 10-4 Lakers. It's going to be an 8:30 tip-off. Tim and Jake Scott do a phenomenal job pre-half and post. Tim LaComb, he's our dude, and we appreciate him coming on the program. Tim, have a good night and have a good call. Have a fun time watching that one, man.
All righty. I've got my sleeping bag, so I'm good here in the studio.
There you go. Tim LaComb, everybody. There you go. Everybody's
It's going to be a circus tonight because LeBron is making his season debut.
Oh, I can't believe it. Oh, he's back. Year 23, huh?
Yeah. Ugh. Think about it. That's insane.
So he'll be 41 in this December, right?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. We've never seen anything like it.
No.
We've seen old people try to play.
We may not ever see anything like it.
We've seen old guys try to play.
Not at his level.
Not at this level. And
I remember 40-year-old Kareem, and that was rough. And Kareem's one of, you can argue Kareem, like you just talked about.
Yeah.
There's plenty of people I know that think Kareem's the greatest basketball player of all time.
What's LeBron? So LeBron James.
Can back it up with stats.
I want to know what his points per game were of 2024 and 2025. Let's have a look here. Guess?
Points per game?
Yeah.
24?
24.4.
Hey.
Over under for this year.
I bet he's slightly under 20.
Yeah, 19 points
I
per.
think because of the talent on that team, Luka being healthy, I think he's going to defer more scoring-wise than he has in the past. And I think he's going to play less games as well.
You know what's crazy? You know what you're going to get from this guy is because last year he was 24.5. Rebounds were 8.1 per. Assists were 8.8 per. Like he was basically almost averaging a triple-double every night.
Yeah.
So I bet you might see the points fall off, and that guy probably add a couple more. I bet you're going to see like almost a triple-double type season.
His assists could go up this year.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
the assists could go up. Maybe the rebounds could go up just a touch too, but it's a little bit of a harder stat to kind of get. But
either way, the fact that we're still watching LeBron James play at a high level.
If he averaged a triple-double in his 41st year on this planet,
that would be.
He'd be second
incredible.
Or third in the MVP race, I bet. No, that's a little bit too much.
There's so many good players in the league. we just mentioned there's 5 players. There's now 6 players averaging 30 or more points. Donovan Mitchell, after his performance last night, moved ahead of Lauri Markkanen. On the scoring leaders list by 0.3.
Didn't the Cavs get hit with the fine for sitting him and Evan Mobley, too? A couple nights ago? Today I just saw it.
I missed it, but it's possible.
They got hit because they're like, oh, man, I got
How
that.
about Sam Merrill with another 20-point game last night?
Good for him. I love it. Okay, we'll take a break. We'll come back. Appreciate Tim LaComb. Our program is always brought to you by this hour, the good folks at Trajan Wealth, TRAJANwealth.com. Trajan Wealth for all your trusted local needs in retirement. Dip in, by the way, pregame starts at 7:30 tonight for the Jazz Radio Network, and then 8:30 your tip right here on 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. More to go. JJ and Alex right around the corner. Stay with us.
All the latest news and notes from the league and the locals in the NFL. JJ and Alex bring you the NFL Blitz on 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
Should we do it now? You like it? You like it right now? All right. Guess what time of day it is? It is a Tuesday. You know what that means? It's a Jazz Ticket Tuesday. You might hear the NFL music in the background, but you know what we got? Some Jazz tickets to give to you. What do we have? Caller number 12 right now, 801-575-ZONE. 801-575-ZONE gets you a pair of tickets to see the Jazz versus the Oklahoma City Thunder, who come to town on the 21st. What day is the 21st? Is that Friday? That's just Friday, right?
Yeah.
Boom. How about a Friday night matchup between the world champs and the Utah Jazz, man? Go see the sensational rookie. Go check out
Keontae George.
Keontae George having the year.
Potential all-star Lauri Markkanen. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, man.
Go watch this team
Love
play.
it. Come on. Win some tickets right now. 801-575-ZONE. Caller number 12 gets a pair of tickets to see the Jazz and the Thunder. 801-575-ZONE. All right. Oh, boy, what a dog of a freaking game last night. Hey, what was the deal with CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens sitting on the bench to start the series off? They
would not disclose that.
Were they were pouty at okay.
Disciplinary. I mean, did they miss a meeting?
They're late to practice or something.
No idea. Did they make fun of their head coach's visor? I don't know.
What is
He's a visor guy.
I know. Think about the visor folk that are in the league.
What does wearing a visor tell us about someone's personality?
I just assume if you've got a visor on, bald people like myself don't like the visor guy because I think they're showing off. I like the hat, but I want to show you that I got a full head of hair. See, and that kind of cockiness, I don't like it. Think of the visor people. Who are the best visor coaches in the history of the game? Gruden?
Yeah, he's a visor guy.
Sean Payton was a visor guy for a long time, although he was wearing like a regular hat this last
The old
Sunday.
ball coach, Steve Spurrier.
Oh, I mean, classic. Yes. Lane Kiffin is kind of a visor dude.
He is a visor guy. He's got nice hair.
Yeah. No,
That's
again, like I
probably
said, people
notice
like
all these guys with visors have very nice hair.
You can't not.
They don't want to hide that under a cap.
If I do the visor, I'm going to have the worst tan line in the history of humankind. So
apparently, you had to have a visor to coach at Oklahoma because both Lincoln Riley and
Bob Stoops was Bob Stoops yeah. Oh yeah, Lincoln Riley.
And
the visor is so freaking weird.
Yeah, it is.
Now you think about it, like all these guys.
You know who else wore a visor that also had incredible hair? Gundy.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh my goodness.
He's a visor guy.
Yeah, I forgot.
A lot of college coaches, not a lot of NFL guys.
Does Gundy coach again?
No.
All right.
I don't think he wants to coach in today's college football.
Yeah.
And I don't know of another place that will give him a chance for how much money he's going to want to ask.
If you see him pop up, it'll be like at a Division III team or something.
Yeah.
Right. But speaking of Schottenheimer and the visor and CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens, how bad do you have to be to make the Cowboys look good, JJ?
Pretty darn bad.
I mean, it was.
I don't want to pile on because I know that.
Lloyd's probably gone.
Can we speak freely about the
Why
Raiders?
not? Because the reality is that he's probably more pissed about him than we are.
Yeah, they stink. I mean, they're bad. That was ridiculous last night.
It's kind of weird. Like when did it? Because it was 24-9, and then they got like a late score. It was 33 to.
The Cowboys are not that good.
No, the Cowboys
are bad. Cowboys
bad.
fans are hearing me right saying, "Yeah, you're right. I know." I'm frustrated with the Cowboys.
Yeah,
and
they didn't turn some
The Raiders
corner.
made them look like Super Bowl contenders last night. It was bad.
Exactly. Well,
little resistance.
So, but it was also just I've been disappointed. Listen, the Sunday night football game between the Lions and the Eagles was a dog of a game. The Thursday night game sucked.
Yeah.
Last night's Monday night football game sucked. It was like really hard to watch. And I mean, that's why it's good that we have like hockey up at the same time in my house. But man,
It's good to have options.
it is. But I'm telling you,
There's a lot of bad sports
like
play out there.
the
NFL and the NFL doesn't care because they're making money. But the Thursday night games have not been good for the league. The games in Europe have not been good for the league because they're rarely good. I mean, did you guys?
I thought about going to Madrid.
How thrilling was that Commanders Dolphins game?
I thought about
Madrid?
going to Madrid and
Right.
just taking in an NFL game. I just think it's so funny. I think Europe wants it. I mean, that's why the demand is kind of there. I don't know. Maybe
It's kind of like here in the United States. You know, Annapolis can speak to this.
Is La Liga?
Occasionally, we'll host like Real Madrid will come here and play a game, or Barca, or Barcelona, or
I call it Barca.
Sorry, I misspoke. Barcelona. I don't know what I'm doing there.
We're a real soccer. We're a hard-hitting soccer station over here.
At least he didn't put the TH on it. The Barcelona.
Oh, he could have said Barcelona.
That would have made me sound more legitimate.
Our boss Nate would have been like, it's actually Barcelona.
I just got eliminated from doing anything soccer for the rest of the time I'm on the show.
Is
which
La
won't be for
Liga?
long.
Is La Liga? Are they mid-season or something? Are they playing right now, or are they off-season? They're playing.
They're mid-season, yeah.
So Madrid, like you're putting a soccer game on a Sunday, which I think La Liga plays on Sunday, don't they? I would assume that they
didn't this week,
right? Because there was some World Cup qualifying stuff, right?
Exactly.
So
yeah.
all right, so that's why they snuck it in right then. Either way, it's weird. I don't know if I'm buying into it yet either. Yeah, I don't think I'm going over for a game to Europe anytime soon. But here we go. Hey, by the way, we got the we were talking about the Shedeur Sanders having the worst weekend in all of sports, maybe. You go 4 for 16 on the field for 48 yards and an interception, and you lose in your debut, and then you get home, and you go, no, is the door open? Oh, $200,000. It looks like they stole in property from Shedeur's home. I would have, if you would have given me an over under on if it was 150,000 or more, I would have definitely taken the over.
No doubt.
That's a guy who's got stuff at his house, right?
Yeah. That was probably just the Gucci bags.
I assumed it was in a pile of cash on the bed. I assume that's how Shedeur Sanders lives. Just wads of cash sitting on the bed.
That's rough, though.
It is tough. $200,000 stolen.
This is obviously, there was a rash of these before where Joe Burrow got hit.
So what does that mean? So now, if you're in the league and you're a decent player, somebody sits at your home, right?
You hire security to watch your home.
They have to sit at your house while you're on a
100% would.
While you're on a roadie.
If assuming you have very valuable things back at your home, I would hire security.
Oh yeah, Skattebo, his house isn't getting broken into. Like he's probably got like that guy's apartment doesn't have anything in it. I guarantee it.
I bet his apartment smells.
I'll tell you
Doesn't he look like a guy that doesn't take out? That's not a guy that does the dishes. You know what I mean?
No, that's what I'm saying.
Like they might go in there. There might be like 10 pizza boxes.
Oh, for sure. So a couple of friends that are just hangers on from ASU, just like asleep on the couch.
A dead rat.
And then like a super high end frozen yogurt machine, like sitting on the
That's
counter.
a great idea, by the way.
Oh my goodness!
Sounds like something he would do.
I know. I hope
you saw the whole thing. Like Giants fans are up in arms because he was doing the WCW thing,
yeah,
which was awesome.
You're like, dude, wasn't your leg?
Can you think of a better player to be involved with WCW than Skattebo? And like Giants fans, like, can't believe he just had surgery on his ankle and he's out here doing that. Like, get out of here, man. Let the dude live his life. It's entertainment. It's fun. Yeah. It's surgically repaired. What do you think? He's going to re-break it at a WCW event?
Yeah, but hobbling around and like. He's like punching dudes. Yeah, I mean,
isn't that the most Skattebo thing ever?
By the way, if you spotted him in the crowd, you'd be like, which one of these guys is the NFL guy? Not the dude who's 5'8" and a quarter, who definitely looks like he might be like a touch cross-eyed, you know? And owns a full-size soft serve ice cream machine in his apartment.
That's very dirty.
I love hitting on all these. For some reason, this became my favorite segment tonight so far. All right. All right. Just guessing the stuff that was in Cam Skattebo's apartment that wouldn't have been stolen by robbers. Oh.
Yeah, we got there somehow.
This is my favorite so far. All right.
The anti-Shador house.
Yeah, we got range. All right. We'll take a break. We'll come back. We've got more to go on the program. Yeah, and you know, like the stove hasn't been turned on.
A lot of Coors Light cans. What do you think his cheap beer choice would be? Natty Light?
He's a PBR guy.
Is he PBR?
Sure.
Okay.
For sure. Come on. He's like, how can I class this place up less?
Do you think he smashes the cans on his head?
We gotta go.
I swear he does.
Now we're going.
He does.
Now we're getting personal. All right, you cross the line. All right.
Okay.
We'll take a break. We'll come back. We've got best and worst next. 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
Wrapping up the hour with our picks for the best and worst moments on today's show. As JJ and Alex want to hear your best and worst of the day.
Welcome back. JJ and Alex, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. Best and worst brought to you by the Doug Smith brand of dealerships in American Fork, Spanish Fork, and in Linden. Nobody knows cars like Doug. James Franklin, it's official. Gets the nod as the head coach at Virginia Tech. You like that fit?
I do. I think that there's a lot of pressure at Penn State, and the expectations are too wild. What are the expectations right now at Virginia Tech? He's a good football coach.
That's what I'm saying.
An elite football coach.
I think he's also a good dude, which is like
100%.
I think that's important.
You go
it's
to
crazy.
Blacksburg, you're not going to have the media hype. You're in the ACC. You can just quietly do your thing, and I think he's going to win there, and I think he's going to do a really good job because he is able to relate and connect with these players, and he's going to bring in great players to that program. I think that it's a great hire for Virginia Tech, and it's a great fit.
Lane Kiffin having to deny rumors that he was in both Gainesville, that's what you call it, and Baton Rouge in the past few days. Well, apparently people have seen him around in all the places.
I'm sure he's shopping quietly in the shadows.
So we'll see. But he says it's not true. Ole Miss has not given him an ultimatum, so don't worry.
Though, here's the question with Lane Kiffin. Is Ole Miss perfect for him? Because, again, the same thing with Virginia Tech. The expectations, the bar is low. They don't win SEC titles.
Right.
Or is the desire or the drive to go to that big-name job and prove yourself at that higher level, is that what drives Lane Kiffin? I don't know. We'll have to find out. But he'll be able to pick what job he wants to have. He's that hot right now. Still not sold on him being that great.
Well, we finally got a little bit of more insight with Kennard Davis Jr.'s DUI.
Yeah, it sucks.
Apparently the redacted police report said that it was possession of marijuana. So there you go. Well, we knew something was coming down the old pike there. We'll see what they're going to end up doing with them down there at BYU. All right, take a break. Got more to go. Stay with us, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.